Hey guys, it's Woody the Unexceptional Gamer, and this is the 5th video in my gaming accessory review series. It's a thing where I take a look at the good and the bad surrounding the gaming accessories business. There are tons of people out there trying to sell you stuff to make you better at games, and I take an honest look at these things and figure out what works and what doesn't. And this one is about Scuf controllers. I've got 2 of these things here, one for the PS3 and one for the Xbox, and let's take a look at these things and I'll show you what they do and how they work. I've been using the Xbox one for maybe 4-6 months now, something like that, so I've got pretty good hands-on experience, and let's take a closer look. Alright, so what we have here are a couple of Scuf Xbox and PS3 controllers, as well as some stock Xbox and PS3 controllers. Each of these default controllers have their strengths and weaknesses, and the Scuf attempts to address those. Also, they have some new features. So in terms of features, let's take a look. So the first thing I wanted to show you is the trigger on the Xbox, right? So the trigger on the Xbox is fairly long, and I'm hoping that this captures it well. If you see this, this is the throw on an Xbox controller. It's fairly far. And if you need to rapid tap something, like some of the sniper rifles that have no recoil, or maybe the M14 if you're a Modern Warfare 3 player, then the travel on this can slow down how quickly you do it. And I'm hoping that you guys can see the difference. This is the travel on the Xbox controller, and this is the travel on the Scuf. It's just like this. So there is a dial, or a little Allen key, that controls how far this thing comes out. So mine's halfway depressed already. And then there's a stopper here that controls how far it goes in. So when you press this thing, it travels this much. And when you press this thing, it travels this much. And for some guns, like, I know White Boy 7th Street is particularly excited about, like, the M14 on these things, that he just gets this rapid tap. Boom, 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 boom. That is a whole lot faster because the amount of travel you have in this trigger is greatly reduced. Another thing, let's go to the back. This, to me, was going to be the big thing. A stock Xbox controller has no paddles here, but the Scuf does. And these things are really nice. I'm going to put the trigger next to my mic so you can hear what it sounds like. It has this really positive click so that you know you hit it right. That's my favorite kind of button. I don't know why all buttons aren't like that. Mushy ones, like these things here, and these are just stock Xbox controllers. I don't mean to say they're extra mushy. But this style of button is one thing, but this clicky style of button, that's my favorite. And what they are is they're mapped on the back to be knife and jump in tactical mode. I guess it would be lay down and jump in the other mode. But what that does, it's really, like a shooter controller. So what you can do as far as the knife, the problem with the knife is that if you go to tactical layout, which is what most of the top players use, when you press on the stick, the guy lays down, and that's really good. That way you can lay down while continuing to aim and shoot the bad guy. So that's really cool. You switch the tactical layout and you drop shot people all the time. The downside is that to knife, you have to take your finger off the aim stick and go here. And not only does that slow you down, but it stops you from aiming and knifing at the same time. And like, I have a unique use case in that I play bumper shields a lot, so I often find myself trying to like swirl around the bad guy and then bump. But if I can swirl around the bad guy and then bump like that, then that's a really cool thing for me. But even in just regular gameplay modes, having this knife on the back means that, once you figure out how to do it well, panic knifing is available for you again. Now panic knifing, right? Everybody hates that. But yeah, if you can premeditate knife, I don't care what you call it, but if you can hit this knife on the back while still aiming, while still moving, and still having it accessible because you hold the controller like this, then that's a really good thing. Halo jumping is the same sort of thing. Instead of taking you off the aim to get your jump on, you can go around the corner, you can jump and lay prone at the same time and do this Superman fly low profile type thing and have your character lay flat through the air and shoot and lay down, and it's a really effective way. If you know the guy's around the corner, if you jump and go prone and shoot him, then that's hard to defeat. You're going to have the jump on that guy, so to speak. So that's what these paddles on the back are all about. Those are the things that had me excited about this controller in the first place. Before I ever owned one, I thought the paddles on the back were going to be the only thing I really cared about. One downside, and if you guys watch my reviews, you know I like to point out negative stuff because I feel like it somehow adds credibility to my review. Getting used to these things was not instant. It took a lot longer than I want to admit. I want to say for me, getting used to knifing like this took almost 3 weeks or something like that. Maybe I'm a slow learner. And the jump, I'm still getting used to it. You know, when I climb walls and stuff like that, I intentionally force myself to use this thing because it's not natural for me. In the same way that when I got a headset, I thought I would instantly just have this bat-like echolocation skills, and I would know where everybody was, and it would just make me a better player by dropping some money. What it really did was it opened the door for me to develop a new skill, and that skill is sound whoring. With this controller, these things on the back were just like that. They opened the door for me to develop a new skill, but you know, for me, that took weeks before I started knifing really well. And as far as jumping really well, I think it's a skill I'm still developing. It works, and I do hit it sometimes, but it's not as instinctive for me as I hope it will be at some point. So we've covered so far is the short travel on the triggers for rapid fire, and we've covered the jumping and knifing on the back. There's another thing on this for the domed top. So I had, I've had this review in my mind for a couple weeks now, and I was going to point out these dome sticks as a gimmick that didn't really work. It was going to be sort of one of the negative things I point out that adds credibility to the review. But then what happened is I started using this controller, and I not started using it, but I was testing something out in split screen mode, and I went back to the regular dipped Xbox domed things, and it made me realize how much I preferred this. When I first got this, I thought, you know, I didn't really dislike it, but I didn't really, you know, fall in love with it either. And then once I tried using this again, it was like, wow, now I see that this really actually is a whole lot nicer, in my opinion. And a lot of the MLG guys, so if you don't know, last year, MLG switched from the Xbox to the PS3. And when the pro players switched over to these domed tops, they started realizing that they liked them more too. And I think that's what brings the dome tops over to the Xbox. People who've tried both prefer the dome top to the, I think this is concave. I get convex and concave kind of mixed up. But this, you know, the top with the dip in it, it's just not as nice. I wish I had a better way to say it. But when you try both, I think you'll prefer the dome top. It's nicer. And then there's some other things they did. This controller is not particularly worn, but when you use it a lot, the edge of this thing here is sharp, and it digs into the stick. And they take this and they file the edge of these things and make it a little bit bigger so you never have that slow turn. And they also make it so that it won't dig into the stick and wear in grooves and make it gritty for those edge things. And that's all I have in mind for the Scuf controller. You'll see I have the Control Freak on mine. That's personal preference. It is the double dome thing, but I've been using Control Freak since longer than Scuf's been in business, and it's my preference to have a really long stick. Some people find that these cramp up their thumbs, but I'm not one of them. I prefer the long one. Over on the PS3. So the PS3 doesn't really have a long throw problem, and they don't do anything for that. But the PS3 does have other problems. One of them is they break. If you drop these things a lot, then these shells can break. I don't know if you guys out there have ever broken any, but they do is they replace it, and this top has this coating, and it is much more drop resistant than a stock PS3 is. Now, the other thing that the PS3 has is the sticks in the back, which we've talked about, you know, ad nauseum. Those are the PS3 advantages. I'm trying to think. I don't know that I'm missing anything other than the fact that the shell is stronger and it has the same jump and knife buttons on the back. So that is my Scuf controller review. I don't have much negative to say, and I wish I had more. I'd actually been searching for negative things to say, like I said, because I felt like it brings credibility. It does take a while to get used to these things. It's not an overnight process, and I thought it was going to be. And I had something else to say. So here's what happened. I called up the Scuf people. In my reviews, I always give full disclosure on what my relationship with the company is. And for the longest time, I got free controllers. But I wouldn't let that taint a review because I get free gaming accessories from usually anybody that I call. But I called them up and I was like, hey, you know, why don't you do a coupon code type thing with me like Control Freak does? And they were interested. So in the description of this video, there will be a coupon code where you can go and I think you save 10% off the, I'm not even sure what the discount is. But if you use the code Woody, then you can save 10% and get these controllers cheaper. Oh, there's a con. They're a little bit expensive. You know, I want to say if you get one and it's completely decked out, then it's like $100 or $120 US, whereas a brand new regular controller is about half that. So it's you know, this controller is about the price of 2 regular controllers. That's I guess that's a downside, you know, if you want to point that out. So, but, you know, with this discount code, I guess that'll save you, you know, whatever, a fifth of controller becomes a little less than twice. So, so yeah, that's my Scuf controller reviews. I really do like these things, and I really do use them. It's the only thing I want to use. I haven't had this one very long, the PS3. And when I started doing PS3 live streams and stuff, I realized how much I missed the buttons on the back. So I called the guy up and I was like, you got to give me a hookup. So now I have both. This thing here actually glows in the dark, but it's hard to demonstrate that because cameras don't pick it up too well. And that's my Scuf controller review. It's I'm trying to think. It's maybe the second one next to the Control Freak that really didn't have anything negative to say. But you guys that watch this whole series know that I don't hold back. I don't hold any punches, like it or not. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy the video, and have a good day. All right, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and click that button. If you want to buy a Scuf controller, there'll be a discount coupon in the description. And there's 2 other videos you may have missed. The top one is the hottest game at E3. I go check out Watch Dogs. And the bottom one is Talking Zombies with David Vonderhaar. I had an opportunity to meet with him privately and talk to him about zombies and innovation and the risks and the rewards and stuff. So check those out and have a good day.